Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's disc review, we are taking a look at the Emac Truth from Dynamic Discs. Before we begin, I just want to kick things off by thanking each and every one of you who has subscribed. We are almost up to 9,000 subscribers, on our way to 10,000. And once we do hit that 10,000 mark, I will be doing a massive giveaway. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any future giveaways. Alright, so kicking things off with the Emac Truth, first looking at the profile, it has a very blunt nose, but it is particularly thin. It also has a very gradual amount of dome, very consistent up the wing all the way to the center of the flight plate. Also, you will notice that on the bottom of the Emac Truth, it does have a pretty substantial bead. So if you are someone who likes beads, this is going to feel very, very comfortable for you. So when it comes to the flight, I'm not gonna lie, the Emac Truth resembles more a fairway driver for me than it does a mid-range. It's labeled as a speed 5, but it acts so much more like a fairway driver, as this is the furthest throwing mid-range that I have ever thrown. For most non-overstable mid-ranges, I can usually top out around the mid-280s, but the Emac Truth, my goodness, as you're gonna see, I can get this thing over 300 on a pretty consistent basis. So even though this is listed as a speed 5, if you're a fan of those speed 6 or 6.5 mid-ranges, say like a Squall or a Cax, then this might be something you would like to look into. Okay, enough yammering about that. How about the actual flight as you're seeing going on here? Well, the Emac Truth I would consider to be a semi-overstable mid-range. It has decent enough torque resistance where it's not going to fully turn over, or if it does get a turn, it's just going to kind of hold a gentle turn for the bigger throwers, but for us slower arms, it's going to hold the angle of release really well. If we put it on a hyzer, it's going to hold the arcing hyzer. It's not really going to get too much flip up at all. Once we throw it flat, maybe just a little bit of a panning turn in the middle of the flight, but it's going to ride pretty straight before then at the very tail end of the flight, you're going to have a really nice overstable finish. And then once you do start throwing it on anhyzer lines, you're going to be able to get it to hold pretty good flexes. As you can see, it has a nice sweeping pan, but then at the end of the flight, it does have enough stability where it's going to check up and it's still going to fight its way out. Since it does have decent amount of torque resistance, it makes a fairly good forehanding mid-range as well, as it can handle the extra torque that I put on it with the forehand. As long as I keep it on a slight hyzer to flat, I'm going to get a good amount of turn in the mid-flight. Not too much though, as it's still going to check up and hyzer itself out. And once I do start putting it on an anhyzer line, if I put it too much anhyzer, it's going to hold that anhyzer all the way to the ground. But as long as I keep it just slight, it's going to do this where you're going to get that bit of a turn, and then depending on the height, it might try to fight its way back. Alright, so that's enough of the field. How does the Emac Truth handle out on the course? Well, I love it for just these big hyzer shots because I know it's going to ride out very, very straight, and then just as it checks up, it's going to have a nice predictable hyzer finish. But then I also like it for these forehanding shots where I need it to kind of flex around an obstacle, because I know it has enough torque resistance that it's going to come out of that turn and it's going to hyzer back. And then I can trust it down these tunnels and gaps because of that torque resistance, where I just know it's not going to really turn over into any trouble. And then it does have that late amount of stability, as I've mentioned before, so that way you just know it's going to end on that hyzer angle. Now, when it comes to different plastic types, the Emac Truth does come in a good variety, so you can really find the ones that work best for you, but additionally, you can find ones that can hit different shots or work a few different ways depending on your arm speed. The Fusion, for example, is out of the box probably the more understable version of Emac Truth, at least in the heavier grams. Now, if you do lighter, yes, some of the other ones will be more understable in lighter weights, but as a near max weight, the Fusion is going to be the most understable. It's going to really hold the angle of release a lot better than the Lucid that we were seeing, and more so than this Lucid X, which if the wind is up, the Lucid X really holds torque resistant very well, so it makes it great for forehanding, also because it's really flat, but then also it just has a lot more resistance to torque and a lot more stability, versus you have this lighter weight Lucid. This is what I'm kind of saying. In lighter weights, this Lucid is way more understable than the one that I've been showing, getting that really nice flip up so you can throw a lot of good hyzer flips, but also very effortless to throw for players with slower arm speeds. Now for the lefty lines, we're going to take a look at the 4 different Emac Truths side by side. First with that near max weight Lucid, so you can see it rides out very, very straight, and then that dependable hyzer finish near the end of the flight, compared to the lightweight Lucid, which gets a little bit more turn in the middle of the flight, but still a decent fade at the end, and then the Fission, which again for a near max weight, this is incredibly understable, by far the most understable of the group. And then you have the Lucid X, which is, you can just see it right there. It just goes straight, checks up very, very quickly, and then has a very overstable finish. Just a quick disclaimer though, the Lucid X Emac Truths are generally done just in very limited runs, so they are going to be very, very hard to find. That being said, I do like that the Emac Truth comes in a wide variety of plastics, because out of the box you can really find the one that works best for your game and the shot that you're looking for just by switching out the plastic or the weight. Fusion is going to be the most understable out of the box if you're looking for a max weight that's going to be more understable, while you can still get a dependable, semi-overstable, maybe not quite wind-fighting Emac Truth out of the regular Lucids, particularly in the more max weights. So love the Emac Truth. It is an incredibly far thrower, almost like a fairway driver that you just have to give a little bit more air under, but I love the fact that you can get so many different shot shapes, kind of depending on the plastic and also the weight that you find it in. It just makes it such a versatile disc. As long as you're throwing the Emac Truth in calm to mild winds, I can really see it being an extreme workhorse in any player's bag. Alright everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Again, be sure to subscribe, be sure to visit GreatLakesDisc.com for your disc buying needs. Appreciate the support everyone. Until the next one, keep banging chains.